Welcome to day number 9 of the 28 days of love. Yes, I am your host through this process, Dr. Sabrina. And today we're going to jump right in. We're going to talk about learning how to fight fair. Because the one thing we know about any relationship, whether it's your love relationship, whether it's a relationship with your parents, whether it's a relationship with your boss, at some point there is going to be conflict. Because people conflict. You see things differently. You look at the same thing and you have a different opinion. The way you were socialized is different than the way someone else was socialized. So you have to learn in your love lives how to fight fair. So there's, first of all, 5 different types of ways we resolve or handle conflict. So think about yourself and how you address conflict. The first of the 5 different ways to handle conflict is to dominate the conflict. Control the situation. This is when we're doing it my way or no way at all. I have to win in the end. It happens fast because you just make the decision. But when you operate in dominating situations, you can offend others. So we have to try not just to be not offended, but not to be offensive. And the dominating way of handling it can definitely be offensive. The next is avoidance. Just to avoid the situation altogether, to stay out of conflict. Oh my goodness, and in my Essential Colors model, the blues don't like conflict. But when you do this, you can build up resentment. You're holding things in. You're not sharing your truth. You're not being honest in the situation. And then you begin to resent the other person because they didn't honor your feelings. But if you avoid it, talking about it, it's really your fault. Number 3 is that you accommodate. And with accommodation, you just have the disease to please. You want to make sure the other person is happy. You're avoiding conflict, but you're avoiding it to the point that you're a detriment to yourself because you're just going to be accommodating to the other person. And so you just don't want to be in that space where you are giving, and no one is ever giving to you. The next is compromise. And in a compromise, you give a little to the other and both parties give up something. So in a compromise, I give a little, you give a little. So I lose something and you lose something. And so in that way of dealing with the conflict, it may work because if we both agree that we're going to give up something and we're going to compromise to come together for the whole or the better for the good, then it's okay. But the best way is the collaborative way. Oh, it's my favorite words. To collaborate, to work together. And it's a mutual understanding and a trust that builds commitment over time. So when you're committed to the situation, when you're committed to working your best, when you're committed and it's a mutual trust that has built up, that takes time. And you must put the time in to get to the point that you can collaborate because it's almost like going to a table, bringing your marbles, putting them on the table, then sitting on your hands and letting someone else play with them because you trust them. And when you're collaborating, it's trusting in the situation. So some skills that's necessary to make sure that you're learning how to fight fair. Now, these are the different types of ways that you may handle the conflict, but there's some skill sets necessary in order to fight fair. The first is empathy. You must have empathy. You must be able to stop and look at it from the other person's point of view. Because if you're always thinking about your point of view and you're just trying to win yourself, that's not going to be a good thing. You're not going to be able to get to the point that you're collaborating because you're just seeing it from your point of view. It's a skill needed during the conflict. It is the number one skill needed, actually, because there was a study that was done by Committee for Children out of Seattle. And they looked at all of these models on how to resolve conflict, how to problem solve. And the one thing that was missing was empathy. And so you got to have that skill. The other thing you have to learn how to manage your anger. Because in the conflict, you may get angry. How do you manage your anger? How do you manage when you get angry? Have you really checked yourself and know what happens in your body when you start to get angry? Do your fists clench? Do you clench your teeth together? Do you grind your teeth? Do you cry? Do you shake? Do you tremble? What physical things are happening in your body so you can get that under control? And then control that mouth. Control what you say. Think before you speak. And give yourself time to calm down. Because you don't want to say something in the conflict, in the problem area, that you're necessarily not going to be able to take back. And it's going to be detrimental to the relationship. So managing your anger is the second skill necessary to fighting fair. The third skill, oh my goodness, and this is yes, you gotta give some. You gotta have some give and take here. But being able to problem solve, and to problem solve means that you have calmed down. You're looking at it from the other person's point of view, and now you're at the point that you're gonna just throw out different ways to resolve the conflict. You're gonna brainstorm about it, write them down, and then go through each of the examples and ask yourself some questions. Is it going to be fair for all parties involved? Is it going to be safe for all parties involved? And is it possible that it can actually work? And so if there's something on the list and it can't work for both parties, throw it off the list and go to the next thing. But really learning how to discuss the problem. The other piece that's really necessary in fighting fair, after you've picked the solution, you've implemented the solution, you need to come back together and say, is it really working? Because if it's not really working, you got to be honest about it. You got to have the communication about it. So anytime that you're dealing with conflict and in a love relationship with the people that we love, the people that we navigate the world with, yes, it's going to be some conflict. So you got to learn how to fight fair. I always say you can't use regular skills to handle spiritual problems. Oh my God, no, you can't do it. And so what you need to do is to make sure that you use the ability to think, you use the ability to listen more than you talk, and you use the ability to control yourself, control your anger. And ask yourself, am I the one that has the anger problem? Am I the one that says things inappropriately? Check yourself first before you begin checking other people. Because sometimes we think it's somebody else, and it's really us standing in the need of some help. Well, that's number 28 day. Yes, number 28, hashtag 28 days of love. Follow me on Instagram at The People Expert, and go on over to my YouTube page. You can see all the videos there. Yes, you can see all the days will be listed there at The People Expert on YouTube. I will see you on day 10 tomorrow. Take care.